The Shadow of the Hourglass, the Rise, Fall, and Redemption of the Prince of Persia. A humble beginning. In the vast deserts of ancient Persia, where golden sands stretched endlessly under the blazing sun, a child was born into a simple family of craftsmen. His father, a respected general in the Persian army, was often away on campaigns, leaving the boy to grow up among tools and artisans. From an early age, he displayed a restless energy, always climbing rooftops and leaping across narrow alleys, imagining himself as a great warrior. The boy admired his father's strength and dreamed of following in his footsteps, but his father was a stern and distant figure. "Strength alone is not enough," his father often said. "A true leader must learn patience and wisdom." The boy, however, craved action and adventure, longing for a life far beyond the dusty streets of his village. The call to arms. Fate intervened when the Persian king declared war on the fabled kingdom of the Maharaja, whose palace was said to house treasures of unimaginable wealth. The boy, now a young man, accompanied his father on the campaign. Though he was not yet a soldier, he yearned to prove himself in the eyes of his father and the Persian court. The journey to the Maharaja's kingdom was arduous. The army traversed deserts, crossed rivers, and scaled mountains, encountering both natural dangers and the occasional band of marauders. For the prince, this was his first taste of the wider world. He marveled at the vastness of the empire and the stories of the soldiers, who spoke of magical creatures, cursed relics, and ancient prophecies. Finally, after weeks of travel, the army arrived at the gates of the Maharaja's palace. It was a sight to behold. A towering fortress of marble and gold, adorned with intricate carvings and guarded by legions of warriors. The king promised glory and riches to any soldier who could breach the walls, and the prince, eager to make his mark, devised a daring plan. The fall of the Maharaja's palace. Under the cover of night, the prince led a small group of soldiers through a hidden passage he had discovered. Scaling the walls with ropes and grappling hooks, they infiltrated the palace, disabling guards and opening the gates from within. The Persian army poured in, overwhelming the defenders in a brutal battle. Amid the chaos, the prince ventured deep into the palace, driven by curiosity and a desire to claim a trophy of his own. He stumbled upon a secret chamber filled with treasures, glittering jewels, golden statues, and artifacts of great beauty. Yet, his eyes were drawn to two objects: a dagger with a glowing, translucent blade and an enormous hourglass, its swirling sands emanating an eerie golden light. The prince took the dagger, feeling an inexplicable connection to it. As he did, an old man's voice echoed through the chamber. It was the vizier, the Maharaja's trusted advisor, who had betrayed his kingdom to aid the Persians. "The dagger is a rare gift," the vizier said, his tone oily and insincere, "but it is only half of the power. The hourglass contains the sands of time, a force beyond comprehension. Together they can make a man a god." Unaware of the vizier's treachery, the prince allowed the hourglass to be taken as a prize for the Persian king. Little did he know, this decision would set in motion a series of events that would change his life forever. The sands of time unleashed. The Persian army returned home triumphant. The treasures of the Maharaja paraded through the streets of the capital. The prince was celebrated as a hero, his father beaming with pride for the first time. Yet, amidst the festivities, the vizier schemed. He coveted the dagger of time and the power of the sands. When the prince refused to relinquish the dagger, the vizier devised a plan to manipulate him. During a grand banquet, the vizier convinced the prince to demonstrate the dagger's power. "Stab the hourglass," he urged, "and see the true glory of the sands." Eager to impress the court, the prince complied. As the blade pierced the hourglass, the room erupted in chaos. A golden storm of sand swirled through the palace, consuming everything in its path. Those touched by the sands were transformed into hideous creatures, their bodies twisted and their souls enslaved. The prince, protected by the dagger's magic, survived. So too did the vizier, whose dark enchantments shielded him. And lastly, Farah, the Maharaja's daughter, was spared by an ancient amulet she wore. The once glorious palace was now a nightmarish ruin, its halls echoing with the cries of the damned. A journey of redemption. The prince, horrified by what he had done, resolved to undo the catastrophe. Wandering the palace, he encountered Farah, who demanded answers. Despite her anger, she revealed her knowledge of the sands of time. She explained that the sands could be contained again if the dagger was returned to the top of the hourglass. Reluctantly, the prince agreed to work with her. Their journey through the cursed palace was fraught with danger. The prince's agility and combat prowess were tested as he battled sand creatures and navigated deadly traps. Farah's archery skills and cunning proved invaluable, though their clashing personalities often led to arguments. As they ventured deeper into the palace, the prince began to see Farah not as an enemy but as an equal. Her courage and wisdom humbled him, while his determination and growing sense of responsibility earned her respect. Their bond deepened, and the seeds of a fragile trust and a burgeoning love were sown. The final confrontation. After countless trials, the pair reached the hourglass, only to be ambushed by the vizier. Corrupted by the sands, he had become a monstrous figure, his once human form twisted by his greed. The vizier sought to kill the prince and claim the dagger for himself, but Farah intervened. In the chaos, she fell to her death, leaving the prince heartbroken. Consumed by grief yet fueled by her sacrifice, the prince faced the vizier in a final battle. Using his mastery of the dagger, he defeated the vizier and ascended the hourglass. With a heavy heart, he reversed time, erasing all that had occurred since the sands were unleashed. A bittersweet ending. The world was restored, and no one remembered the events but the prince. Farah, now alive and unscarred by the tragedy, regarded him with suspicion, unaware of the bond they had shared. The prince returned the dagger to her, whispering, "Trust no one," before vanishing into the night.